Okay, we're recording.
Oh, okay.
Okay, hello everybody. We are live. Well, now. We'll be recorded later.
This is a recording. Do not call in. You know, like all of those, oh shit. I can't even think. Those, competition shows
Yes.
that are like, this is a live recording. Please don't call in. I always think about the people that operate those, call-in centers when it's not the time to call in.
I feel like I'd call when it's not the time to call in. I'd be like, yes, I have a question. It's like, excuse me, ma'am, the show is already over, but I have questions.
Like, listen, I just clean up in the evenings, and I'm just trying to tell you that ain't nothing here for you.
Oh, but yeah, okay. I'm so excited you have so many questions.
I am shocked that there are so many questions.
To be fair, I did.
Because I wasn't shocked that you had like 40 questions, but I was like, oh, maybe people will ask me like 10.
No, it's 40.
More than that.
I think it's 40. I might have miscount. I'm not good at counting.
It's okay, you're gay. Math is hard.
But
do you know some gay mathematicians? It is a thing.
Yeah, I don't know how to count.
However, I am a lesbian who really struggles with math.
I struggle with simple addition.
My wife is great at math, though.
Your wife
is the beauty
cool.
of relationship. You just like balance each other out, I guess.
One knows math, the other doesn't.
Only one can know math.
Only one can know math. It's the rules. Oh my gosh. Okay, so there are a ton of questions. I don't know where to start. Spoiler free. I have like front to back nothing but questions.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so there are a lot.
Okay, well, I'm ready. Also, can we point out, I don't know if this is in any of the questions, but I love the feedback I'm getting of like, you sound nothing like I thought. And I'm just like, what did you think I sounded like?
That's actually one of the questions. We'll start with that. Are people often surprised by the way you sound in real life? I was.
Yes, actually. People are quite surprised in real life. When they talk to me on the phone and then they meet me in real life, they are surprised how I think I sound like my sister on the phone, which I think is kind of hilarious because we didn't grow up in the same household. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, this is funny that I sound like my half sister on the phone. Sometimes I don't even recognize like recordings of my own voice.
That's how I feel.
Right.
I'm like, who is that? Their voice is annoying.
Oh, I love your voice though.
I'm like surprised that a lot of people think my voice is cute and they're like, I love your accent. And I'm just like, oh no.
I think your voice is cute.
Oh, thank you. I think your voice is cute. When I first heard you, I was like, oh my gosh, her voice is so cute.
Oh, that's so nice.
Oh, man. But yeah, you have a very cute voice. It's adorable.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Next question.
Yields.
I'm just going this. Is your wife in the fandom?
My wife. Okay,
which I'm going to guess is the Hackle fandom or the Worst Witch.
Yeah. So my wife ships Hackle, but this is like the funny story of how that came about. So I have written fic for on and off since I was a teenager. And like 5 or 6 years ago, I got back into writing it. But my wife would never read it, really. And not, like, actively not read it. I'd just be like, I'd explain something, and I'd be like, I think you'd understand if you knew what it was to be in fandom. And she's like, I'm not interested in that. I was like, okay. And then I think it was last year, maybe? Maybe it was the year before. It must have been, no, it was the year before. On a whim, I think she read my fic. I don't even remember like how it came about, but she read it. It was my Hackle fic. She read it in like a week, all of it.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, and at that point, I did still have like a lot of fics. I was shocked because my wife also um, struggles with reading. Like she listens to a lot of audiobooks because it tends to be hard for her. So I was just shocked that she read, one, that she read so much in such a short amount of time, and two, that she read my fic. And because she'd watched The Worst Witch with me, because at the time we had we're foster parents, and at the time we had a kid in our home who was actually the age, like the target age.
Mm-hmm.
That was 2 years ago, and so she was familiar with the universe, and so but she read my fic and she loved it, and so now she loves it a lot, but she will only read my fic. She thinks that she's cheating on me if she reads other people's fic.
It's really kind of adorable.
Just it's adorable. It's also ridiculous.
It's ridiculously adorable.
Well, I'm just like, because there are other people in the fandom whose writing I super adore. Like, I'm like, you should read Mary's fic. You should read Brooke's fic, who doesn't write for Hackle anymore, but has bestowed upon us many gifts. But she would just like, she wouldn't do it because she's just like, I just want to read yours and only yours.
That's
Which,
really
on the
cute.
one hand, was really sweet because, I talked about my writing for so long. She was always encouraging, but now she had like a basis for what I was talking about. But then I had someone in my home being like, when are you going to finish? I need new fic to read. This is so hard. And I'm like, oh man, created a monster.
Yeah, you did. Sounds great though.
Yeah, so my Hackle fic is her favorite fic. She has agreed, however, because I made her watch the Bletchley Circle, because I knew she'd like it because it's a murder mystery.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's agreed to read my fic for that series too.
Nice.
But probably those will still be the only two things she ever reads. She's read some of the Hubble Star as well, but the Hackle is her favorite.
Oh, cute. That's adorable. I love that.
So yeah, my wife doesn't do fandom. She is often very surprised that I do because of some of the experiences I've had. I know that there are a couple questions about that, but my wife is just like, I could not take some of the stupid shit that happens to you. I just couldn't do it. So.
Oh, that's another question.
Yeah, that's that on that.
That's actually a few questions. Let's go to those.
Okay.
Oh dang, where is it? Da. I'll find it in a second. Don't worry about it.
It's fine.
Oh, I could always edit this out. Aha! I
Yes.
forgot about that.
Also, I was very impressed by the things you stuck in the video. Because I watched our video and, like, that picture from Harry Potter and then, like, Snape. I was like, this makes it so much better.
The Snape one, I was like, I could not help it. I was just like, I need to find it.
I loved it.
Because it's so funny. Okay, I found it. What are some of the challenges that come with fanfic writing? What is the hardest part? And, well, there's another question, but I'll let you answer those two first.
Challenges that come with fanfic writing. I think they're very similar to the challenges that come with any writing, right? Like, how do you make a story? Which sounds like really simple, but it can be very hard. Writing is a skill, and you have to practice at it. I think for me, it all depends on like what's the most important parts for you. And characterization for me is really important, and dialogue that feels authentic. And I think it's also hard because I'm an American and I tend to keep falling in love with shows that include British people. And which is funny because I do have British friends, and like my friend Sarah, who I met when I was in Cardinelli years ago. Every time I would try to write Peggy Carter, she would just like giggle at me and be like, "It's really cute when you try to write a British accent."
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, and so I think that's always hard, is when you're trying to write something outside of your own experience and try to make it sound authentic and not stereotypical. And then I think the other challenge that comes is figuring out whether or not the story you want to tell is one other people may or may not be interested in. Now, I sort of let go of that, and especially with Hackle, because I tend to be in smaller fandoms, because for the most part, especially in the past 2 or 3 years, I've been exclusively Femslash, and those tend to be smaller fandoms anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I tend to ship rarer ships. Hackle's actually pretty big for a ship that I ship. So I was like, I'm just going to publish everything. Because they just do all the stories. So yeah, I think that's a challenge too. Is anyone gonna respond? Because I think fanfic writing in general, like, is it's for yourself. It's to figure out certain things, it's to see how certain things work. But I think specifically in fandom, for me, in my experience, it's always a conversation. So I want stories that other people are going to like, and they're going to tell me what they like about them, and I want to evoke emotion and a response and humor and, like, whatever I'm trying to get at. So the challenge there is, have I told the story effectively to get that? And if I have, great. And if I haven't, well, I need to improve it. That's the way it is for me. That was the challenge part. Was there another part of that question I didn't?
Just the hardest part, which, I mean, that kind of goes into that.
Yeah. Well, I think time is really hard for me. I have a kid, and I have a part-time job, and I sometimes I have really low spoons and low energy. So I think for me, that's probably the hardest part, is finding the time. There are so many things I want to do and, like, write about and tell, but sometimes there's no time.
Oh, I feel that.
I'm like, if only I had more hours in the day.
Oh, right? I need,
also,
like,
if I could bottle the
16
energy
rounds.
of my tiny human, that would be great. And just, like, take a shot of that. That'd be great.
Kids have so much energy, and it's just like, where do you store it all? Tell me your secrets. Here's a good one. It's for both of us. How do you manage to stay in fandom despite Anon hate? Does it ever drain you?
Ooh.
Do you want to answer first?
That is a good question. Why don't you answer first? I love your response. So why don't you answer?
So I tend to be a little different in response to Anon hate. I think it's funny, like, really funny. But I'm also really spiteful, so that's probably why I think it's funny. I think it's enjoyable that someone takes the time to tell me about something they hate that I'm never going to change. So I felt like I think it only drains me when other people get it, honestly, because I feel bad for everybody else, and it's because they don't respond to it the way that I respond to it. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I feel like the biggest way that I respond to hate is to draw more and make them more angry at me.
Yeah. Which, I appreciate. You just making more and more content.
It's like every time I get Anon hate, it's just like, oh wow, it's time to draw Hackle, I guess.
So it always depends on the nature of the hate. Cause, like, when it's stupid shit, like telling me that like asking me why I ship something, or like how can I ship something, those always baffle me, because I'm like, because I do. I don't, because it's there, because I feel it, because it, there's something interesting in the dynamic for me. But I do struggle with, so I've been in a few different fandoms, and I know that's probably a different question, but the parts that are the hardest for me and that do tend to affect me and I need to take a break from is when the hate is racist or fat phobic or just when people are making assumptions and like personal attacks. Like I've gotten hate in the Worst Witch fandom since season 2. But it was like very, it was sporadic really for the most part until later that year, and I can deal with it when it's sporadic. Like, every once in a while I've come to expect it, which I think is like a little bit sad, but I also think that that's just realistic me being in fandoms in general.
Yeah.
But last year, like during season 3, when it became this sort of attack on my character, like my own character, that was what was like way too hard for me, and where I was just like, listen, we all have different interpretations of what's going on. You're allowed your interpretation, I'm allowed mine. But you can't tell anything about me and my life from, like, what I ship. Or at least not your interpretation of who I ship.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, I'm like, well, if you know that I ship Hackle, I like cute married people. Like, that's, for me, I feel like that's what you would gain from knowing that. And if you read my stories, you would know I like fluff and I like warmth and I like people healing and stuff like that. But just this sort of, oh no, like you support abuse, you like do this and that. I'm like, not only is that so wrong about me, but it is personally hurtful because I like actively, I'm a trained social worker, so I'm like, I have worked with people who have experienced abuse, and I'm just like, this isn't the same thing, y'all. Like, this is truly not the same thing, and I can't believe you compare it. So there's that. And how I managed to stay in fandom is that, like, your ass cannot kick me out. Like, I have become the, like, crotchety fandom grandma on my lawn. Like, you get off my lawn. I'm staying here.
I love
paid
that.
for the real estate. I pay property taxes. My ass is staying here. Like,
that's so
can't
cute.
get me out, bitches.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't. I feel like when people like personally attack me, I kind of have like this kind of like sense where it's just like no one can attack me worse than I can attack myself.
True.
And I have given up drawing like tons of times. So like every time someone's just like give up drawing, I'm like, I already did. It's too late. I've done past that part, like in my art days.
I've been burnt out a couple of times.
I stay burnt out.
Due to just not only a non-hate, but just the burnout that comes from when you are a huge content creator. I say huge, like I was like super popular, but I mean like I just created a lot of content, and I realized that I wasn't creating content out of the joy of the content. I was creating content because I felt like solely responsible to like be the one to carry on some sort of like noble cause, and I'm like, that's just really hard to do, and hard to feel, and so I, to this day, I'm a little sad that I got so burnt out in a couple of fandoms for that specific reason.
I like your answers. I have a more cheerful question. Since we got kind of dark, and this is probably my favorite anonymous question, and it's for you, and it says, are you a witch because your writing seems magical?
Oh, that's so sweet.
Isn't it? I was just like, oh, that's my favorite witch.
Oh my gosh. That reminds me, somebody commented on one of my fics once, think it was Jen actually, and asked me what kind of like sacrifices I made or like what kind of witchcraft I possessed in order to write such a story.
Oh, that's so cute.
I am not I guess I'm not a certified witch. There's occasional witchy things in my life that I do, but and my writing just comes from a lot of writing and rewriting and a love of the story and a collaboration. Good Lord, a lot of collaboration. But that was really sweet. That is really sweet.
Just say you're just one of the best writers ever.
You're so sweet.
Like, just say that.
That's just really nice.
I mean, if you don't say it, I will. I'll annoy people. I know I probably will. I already annoy my friends when I talk about your work.
No!
But now they love you, so I think they're fine with it.
I love them too.
How do you have the courage to post smut? I'm always too shy.
Oh. Well, I remember the first time I did it, and it was incredibly nerve-wracking, and it's so funny because I think like a year or two I went and reread what I consider like my first like smut writing, and I'm just like, this is so sweet, and I stressed out about this so much, and it does not even compare to some of the stuff I've written since. It's truly just a matter of, for me at least, writing it, thinking that I've done a really ridiculous job, and then giving it to a friend and being like, is any part of this good? And then they're usually like, here, fix this, move this, like, and then I post it and other people are like, that was hot. And I'm like, oh, awesome. I didn't know. Yes, it's just something I practice at. I don't know that like courage has a whole lot to do with it at this point. I guess in the beginning, the first few times, yeah. I get why people are nervous about it. I'm still nervous, literally every single time that I've done it wrong. I'm currently writing a fic that includes a threesome, which is like, so it's not for the Worst Witch fandom, but that is not at all something I thought I would ever write, but I find myself always surprised by it, and I'm nervous about it. I'm super nervous about it. I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna read. I don't know if this is as good as I hope it is, as I want it to be, so, but we'll see. So it's like a lot of other stories for me. I'm kind of always just nervous about whether or not it's gonna track.
I think that's funny. I also think, like, I don't know. I don't write smut, or I did. I used to. Don't read it. Anybody, don't read it. But anyway, I always think it's funny because, like, I always try to leave a review for every single story that I read, and it's so hard sometimes because it's like everyone else is like, this is hot, this is the hottest thing I read, and I'm just like, I think this is really beautiful, and you did well, and okay, bye.
I love both kinds of comments, though. I do. I think I gotta say the way that my wife responded the first time she read something like smutty, she was like, you are so cute and sweet.
Oh, that's so cute.
Like, I feel like that is both a compliment, but also I feel like it's slightly condescending.
I mean, it might be. Just a tad bit.
Well, no, what she said was like, I don't know, I'm all about the tenderness, folks. I just am. So there's always going to be feelings. I can't write just smut, I guess. Like, there always has to be, like, feelings involved. There doesn't necessarily have to be a plot, but it does always have to be loaded with some sort of, like, feelings. So And I guess, and my wife likes to make fun of me and my romantic self for that reason.
Oh, that's so cute.
All in good fun, of course. But it also bugs me. But she also loves it. So I'm just like, fuck you. You like it.
Oh my god. Oh, that's so funny. Okay.